The button has been mashed.
Yeah, thank God.
Hold on, I'm gonna go live over on Instagram. I know I said I wasn't gonna, but I'm gonna.
It's the last button mash of the season, everybody.
It's the last button mash. All right, I think both buttons have been mashed. I can't. It doesn't say go live. Oh wait, there it is. Hold on. It's been a minute. There she is.
A whole week. This has been a couple weeks.
It has. All right, let me mash this other button and we'll get started.
Do it.
Hi, I'm Rick.
I'm Dan.
I'm George.
And we are Queer Magnolias,
the podcast.
In each episode,
We're going to talk about everything from growing up queer in the South to the issues that are affecting our community today.
with a little bit of fabulous sprinkled in along the way,
So join us for an all-you-can-eat buffet of queer joy,
mixed in with the occasional bitch fest.
but always served with the spiciest tea.
You know,
There
Rick,
we go.
before you push that button, I was going to say, let the music play. But you,
We should choreograph these things. We have to do better next time.
Well, we're definitely live because I peeked at it when our intro was playing, and it is live.
and there
Oh,
she,
sweet.
she saw it.
I saw it. I
You
saw
saw
it.
yourself.
Well, no, I heard. I also now know that it's got a 2-second delay.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, with this crowd,
2 seconds is probably a novelty for me.
I don't think 2 seconds is enough.
Yeah.
Need like a 4-hour delay.
I mean, yeah, that way we can sort of bleep it out if necessary.
Exactly.
So, welcome to our season finale. We're wrapping up this season, and we tried out a new little format in the beginning of the season. I don't think anybody thought it was working. So, we're back to our old, usual queer selves. So, that's
In the words of Antoine and Dwayne, hated it.
Well, let's do
So that said, George had a topic for tonight, so I'm going to kick it over to him. He's gonna start us off. What are we talking about tonight?
Am I talking? Am I picking a topic?
You're
You're the one that texted it earlier this week. Do you not remember?
Oh, I do. You're
I
right.
mean, you might have been in Dan's zone. Who knows?
I guess I just didn't remember that this was our last episode. That doesn't seem like a last final.
Oh, it's fine.
I suggested we talk about queer fiction, or specifically Southern fiction that perhaps we haven't talked about before, maybe books or movies. And I did make the caveat, Rick, that there would be no Steel Magnolias talk because it can't. I don't think it should really be the ones that are so obvious because we are read people. The two of you both had podcasts about books. You must have read something new from some new queer authors from the South.
Quite a few, but I do have to say I'm gonna make a counter argument. I think Steel Magnolias should get an honorable mention just because it is our namesake and it is like very iconic. So I'm gonna leave it there. We won't bring it up again, but it's getting an honorable mention.
Then let's just call this the Steel Magnolia Award.
Okay, I love it. So who wants to go first?
I don't.
I will.
Okay.
George, you can. Go ahead. So I do have a show. I thought long and hard about this.
So Rick said, "Oh, okay, I'll go first." Oh, or if you want to go first, George. George goes like this, and Rick starts talking.
Well, that's fine. Rick always has something to say, so go on,
Well,
girl.
that's true.
Well,
Go
I
on,
do
babe.
come with a book report, as one likes to accuse me of.
Girl, it's an accusation if it's the truth.
Well, this is true. So I did think long and hard about this, and I landed on something that really means a lot to me. And it's a TV show, and it's Queen Sugar by Ava DuVernay.
Yeah.
And I love that because I feel like it takes place just outside of New Orleans. It's centered around a Southern Black family. And it's about their journey to sort of reclaim their Southern narrative, figuratively and literally. As far as the queer storylines, Nova Bordelon is bisexual in the show, and even had an affair with who's the Cosby? Oh, I can't even think of her name. It'll come to me in a minute. The Cosby daughter. Not Raven.
Not Raven.
Cree Summer. So she had a on again, off again relationship with Cree Summer, and so yeah, it's one of probably my top shows.
For clarity, Cree Summer was in Different World. She was not a Cosby daughter.
Sorry, you're right. I stand corrected. So,
but we love Cree Summer. Her character.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Her character in Different World was one of my fashion icons in high school. Like, I love the way she dressed.
Oh, I love the way she dressed in Queen Sugar too, because she brings it. And I met her in person. She's a voice actress. She does a lot of voices. And I've been in a voice booth with her, and she is something else, man. She is a force to behold.
And am I remembering this wrong? Because am I confusing the character with the actor? But doesn't Micah come out at the end of that?
So I think you're confused. So I had the same issue, and I think we are confusing the actor with the character. I think that his storyline felt like it was leaning that way, but it never truly fully went there. But the actor himself is out.
Got it. Yeah. So it's a little fact versus fiction. Got it.
Yeah, Roberto's here. Hello.
So I wanted to talk about an author who I think Dan actually knows, Gillian Flynn. Her debut novel from 2006, Sharp Objects, is one of my most favorite books. And it takes place in the South. It takes place in Missouri, which you know. And it's these
Missouri. As my mother would say, Missouri.
In a very Southern, I feel like a very, very old school Southern family in Missouri, but also a very like kind of farming town where like there's the really, really rich, which are like literally the 1%, and then everybody else works for them. And like the hog slaughtering plant to make the pork. And it's the story of a murder. This girl, this woman who has moved to the big city, and she becomes a reporter, and she gets sent back home to cover these murders of these young girls that are popping up in her hometown. And it is such a good book. And it was turned into a miniseries.
I saw the miniseries. I never read the book.
I love it. And it really captures. Dan, do you know, is Gillian actually Southern?
I don't know, but I think so. I can let you know in just a second.
Because I will tell you this, the way that she writes about summer in the South is so spot on. And it's the little things that she talks about, these little details, that, like just like the way that like the sweat trickles down the back of your neck into like they're the things that are like, okay, it's so iconically Southern that you obviously have lived this. Like, you know what you're talking about. These are not just adjectives you're throwing down.
Kansas City, Missouri.
So there we go.
Yep. She knows. She does know. And I think that's a big thing. I think that's a big thing about Gillian. I think that all of her books are just so, they grab you by the neck and they keep you. And she's certainly an atmospheric writer.
Yes.
So she has, so now I'll bring up one who's affiliated with her. So she has her own imprint as a printer, and her first book published was on her imprint. It's not one of her books, but it's Scorched Grace by Margot Dwyer. Now, Margot is from Massachusetts, but her books are set in New Orleans. There's Scorched Grace and Blessed Water. And Margot is another person. She used to be a poet. She still is a poet. Then she switched to writing, but her writing is so filled with poetry. But she has atmosphere that you can taste and smell and feel. And I think that is, not every author does that. Not every author goes for that particular type of book. But I think both Gillian and Margot do that, and they do that so successfully. So if you want to read a book about a queer, tatted up, chain-smoking nun, read Margot Dwyer's book set in New Orleans. So much fun.
You forgot crime solving.
Crime solving. That's right. That's right. Pardon me, Margot. Forgive me.
So real quick, Lex is here. Timo is here. Timo says hello. Lex says, is it Tempest, Lisa Bonet, or Keisha? No, I was wrong. It's she's not from the Cosby Show. She's from a different world, but it's Cree Summer. So she is, but she's quite lovely. So
Who was one of the voices on the Rugrats?
she's a ton of voiceover work. So yeah, she's really friggin' talented when it comes to like she can switch voices and it sounds like a completely different person in the middle of a scene. It's kind of crazy to watch. I've never seen anybody be able to do that before. She just does it masterfully. So
Dan, how many books are in the Chain Smoking Lesbian Nun series?
2 that have been published, and I think Margot is currently working on the 4th one. So it will be fire, rain. What are the other 2 elements? Earth and wind.
earth, air, fire, water.
Okay, yeah. So each book will feature one of those as its main atmosphere.
I love that. So she's working on the 4th, so the 3rd's getting ready to be published.
Yes, and she is working on the 4th one. So, yep.
All right, Dan, who you got?
All right, so oh Lord, I made a long list because when we're talking about people I've interviewed, the list is long. But Rick and I have both interviewed Dale Sandine, This Cursed House, and Dale's another person that the book is set in the 60s, I believe. This Black woman answers an ad for what she thinks is a tutor job in New Orleans, and the pay is so over the top she really can't say no. She arrives in New Orleans by train, and she gets off, and she, as women traveling in that era did, she has on a dress and she has on stockings and she has on a pair of sensible heels, but with a hill on it. But she talks about
Kitten Hill.
Yes. So she talks about sand getting between the hose and the shoes, because in New Orleans, there was a lot of streets that were dirt streets, and maybe not sand, it's dirt or whatever, but you felt that rubbing in the shoe. And then, of course, she's from Chicago, so she's got a coat on, and she gets to New Orleans and it's humid. And she talks about the perspiration and the sweat. And it's amazing, because there is another author. This is a young woman who's an author. She's from Northern Florida, but she brings us atmosphere. And then it sort of turns into a suspense horror type book. Rick, maybe you want to take over for this part, but what she does with it is just amazing.
So good. So George, if I had to equate it to something, because something I thought about, it was like, and I hate to do comparisons this way, but because sometimes I feel like it can be a little reductive for that. But I think the easiest way I could describe it is if Ghost Whisperer was set in a period piece with a Black protagonist that was a badass. That's what this book was about. I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it. It was her journey to figuring out what her special ability was. And I love the way it unfolded, but I also love the way it ended, because it set it up for many more stories to be told.
I love that. I love that. I did buy the book on your recommendation, Rick, because if it's a horror novel or a supernatural novel that takes place in New Orleans, chances are I'm going to buy it.
Yep. You're going to love this. Have you read it yet or started
I
it?
started when I was back home, like in February, and I read most of it. And I think I said this to you before. I was like, okay, I think there's like this much left to read. And I'm like, okay, I can't sit through another chapter about them just going to dinner. Like, it's
But that's what they did. This is Downton Abbey, but in New Orleans. That's all they did.
Yes, it's definitely downstairs of the upstairs as well.
Mhm.
It's certainly not. It's not. Well, it's got both the upstairs and the downstairs, I guess, but it's an unusual thing. So if I can segue onto a movie that I think is a movie that I just simply fell in love with years and years ago. I'm a huge Bette Davis fan.
Mhm.
And of course, everybody knows Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Its follow-up is Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte. Now,
Yeah.
Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte is my favorite of the two, and it has some bad special effects. I mean, Honestly, we are so blessed in today's world. It had
You-
some really
You mean that
horrible-
falling planter wasn't real?
Well, no, that in the head rolling down the stairs.
Yes.
Oh my stars, it was so bad. However, it is quintessential Southern, and it has Agnes Moorehead as a backwoods maid.
Yes,
Don't get better than that, honey.
Honestly, I think Agnes, in so many ways, stole the movie. I mean, she's just such a great actress. But Betty Davis, being, a little touched in the head, as we would call it in the South, and Olivia de Havilland, who turns out to be a horrible bitch. I love that because it goes against a lot of the stereotypes of what you think's going to happen. But it is some bad Southern accents, but a lot of fun, though.
It is a lot of fun.
Look, Betty Davis can't do a Southern accent to save her life.
No.
Jezebel, I've
Didn't she say that in an interview with somebody? She's like, "Yeah, I don't do accents," and she's like, "They always want me to do an accent, and I don't do accents."
She's certainly not Meryl Streep, for sure.
she's like you, Dan. She doesn't do an accent. She has one.
I have one. I can move my Southern accent around where I need it to be, but I don't do a Yankee accent. It just ain't gonna happen.
Girl, that scene in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte where they're in the car and Olivia de Havilland slaps the shit out of Betty Davis, and then she does it and again and again.
There's they knew their audience at that point. They knew who they were playing to.
They did, and it's total camp. And one of the things I love about it is once Joan Crawford was fired because Betty Davis had an ironclad contract, no work stoppages ever. And she had this.
Betty knew what she was doing, honey. She was like, "I know this bitch."
Right. And so what happened was Joan decided to check herself into a hospital because she was exhausted. And so Betty went to Warner Brothers and said, "Fire her. I'm not stopping." And so they said, "Well, who will we get to replace her?" And Betty said, "Give me an hour." She picks up the phone, calls Olivia de Havilland in Paris and says, "I need you here now."
Huh?
Olivia said, "I haven't seen the script." Betty said, "I don't care. Get here now." Olivia flew, and they started filming in 2 days.
Betty says, "Girl, you don't want to see the script. Just show up."
Just show up, honey.
This is why you don't read; you just do.
It's Robert Altman. He'll guide us through it, and he did. I do love that. I think that so far is so wonderful. And Bruce Dern playing her younger husband that dies. Bruce doesn't do a Southern accent very well either, but
Do you know what that genre film is called? That and the
camp.
No, it's not camp. Whatever happened to Baby Jane?
Oh, it's hagsploitation.
Exploitation. Yes.
I've never heard that before. Hagsploitation. All right,
Yeah.
making a note for.
That's well. I
okay.
mean, I think that could be our tagline for.
I love it.
Did you write that?
Sorry, I'm gonna jump to the comments real quick. Timo wants to know why you didn't say hi when you were in Bakersfield, Dan. Because she was fucking drunk. I'm sorry, I can't say that in a live. She was friggin' drunk most of the
Hi,
time.
Timo. I'll say that from LA. How's that? So.
Aaron has joined, and he says White Trash Warlock is a good one. Set in, is it in Oklahoma or Denver? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, White Trash Warlock. That sounds interesting. I'm game.
Well, there's a television movie from the Hallmark Channel right now on Hulu, I think, called Amish Stud, and that's what that reminds me of.
I mean, I love an Amish stud. I'm not gonna lie. So,
It's a murder mystery. You should watch it.
I have some things I cannot say since we're live, but I know what the Amish are famous for in a lot of ways, so we're not going to talk about that cheese.
I will say this. There is an Amish chef on TikTok who has this thing about her where she's cooking, she does not take her eyes off the camera. So she's putting stuff in, but she's looking at you the entire time and she's doing it. And it freaks everyone out. And it's actually been the thing that's kind of catapulted her into like TikTok fame. What? No, you don't like it?
Girl, she's Amish. How the fuck does she have a cell phone?
Well, I don't know. She's modern Amish.
How does she charge
Modern
it?
Amish. I don't know what to tell you. She's modern Amish.
I
Maybe
know
she
what
goes
it is.
into the city for the weekend to film the videos. I don't know what to tell you.
And I know what to tell you. She's got on fake eyes that you think she's not looking down because nobody.
You
hits
sound like
the
everybody in the
mark right every
audience.
time.
Everybody in the comments are saying the same thing. I don't understand what's happening here. Why is she always looking at me? I feel like she's looking right through my soul. It's hilarious.
God sees you.
See,
Dan, since you brought up whatever happened to Baby Jane and Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, that made me think of one of my most favorite classic Southern movies that is not Gone with the Wind. It's from 1944. It's called Dark Waters, and it stars Meryl Oberon as the star.
Oh, I love Meryl.
She is a very fragile woman who has survived a ship being sunk. She's lost her parents. She's lost everything. She's got amnesia. So she is going to go live with her aunt and uncle that she hardly knows at all, deep in the swamps of Louisiana, this big plantation house.
Wow.
And she gets there, and there is murder and mayhem, and Elijah Cook Jr., who you know is going to die the minute you see his name show up at the beginning of the film, because he always dies in a movie. Franchot Tone is in it. Faye Banter's in it. So, like, it's a really good one.
And then you also have to talk about one of your favorites, Saratoga Trunk.
I do love Saratoga Trunk. I feel like that's a little problematic these days, considering.
Well, probably. And Ingrid Bergman can't do a Southern accent either. But
I what accent she was trying to do, or even what there was a lot of things she was doing in that movie. But and what I love about that film, it's not even the entire film. Well, that's not true. I like a lot of things about that film. I love the scene when they get to Saratoga and they're unpacking her clothes, and she throws herself on the divan and she's like, let's have champagne with peaches in them. And I think, oh, that sounds so nice. Champagne with peaches in them. I love the scenes in New Orleans where they revamp the Creole townhouse. Like it. Anyway, my recommendation is that you should see the film. I'm going to stop.
Right. So does anybody
put it back to TV real quick? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan, and I'll come back to TV.
Does anybody know the movie that Barbara Stanwyck is a madam in New Orleans? I saw some.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yes.
Hold on.
And it's from the, I've just heard she stars in it with Capuchin, that model from like
yes. I just saw some clip.
Walk on the Wild Side.
That's right. And I will say that Walk on the Wild Side has probably the longest, and I kid you not, walking scene in film's history, because one of the characters walks all over New Orleans looking for somebody. And is that the same movie? Did the camera follows them walking?
You're thinking of Boys in the Attic. I told you to watch it.
Oh, that's right. That one, I like that as well. But Lord, that walking scene, I was exhausted by the time she got to wherever in the hell she was going. I was like, hell, I need a drink. It is New Orleans.
Exactly. Yvette Miu.
Right. Oh, that's right. She looked good. And
she walked all over the French Quarter, honey. Like just the opening credits is just her walking and walking and walking, and the streets are dark and there's nobody else around. Like you've never seen the French Quarter.
So what's the sister's name in that? What's the guy's sister? She's in the long journey home or something,
Geraldine
right?
Page.
Geraldine Page. Oh my gosh, Geraldine Page was just so amazing.
And she ate that film.
She ate it and spit it out and then ate it again. And that's something I love because it's one of those things. So I'll tell everybody about a movie that's set in the South.
We're on it tonight, people.
We are on it tonight. Reflections.
This is gonna be like 5-hour-long live stream,
right? Reflections in a Golden Eye with Elizabeth Taylor and Marlon Brando. She's the daughter of.
I don't know that I've ever heard of this.
It is one of Elizabeth's least seen movies. It was controversial at the time. Marlon Brando is bisexual or gay. It's hard to know. He's married to Elizabeth Taylor, but
I'm surprised they didn't have Rock Hudson in it. Come on, now.
Right? So
Paul Newman,
right? He was Brick Jr. So, but she beats Marlon Brando over the face with a horse crop. And I'm here to tell you, if she didn't really hit him in real life, it's the best acting ever done by two actors, because it looks like she and she does it on purpose because he runs her horse through a briar patch to hurt her horse because he's very angry with her because he wants this boy that he's fantasizing about. Long story short is it's excellent. Excellent.
1967.
Yes.
Brian Keith is in it. Robert
Yes.
Forster is in it. Harvey Keitel's in it. There's a lot of folks in this movie.
There's a lot of
Harvey
people in it.
Keitel, the boy.
I doubt. Is Brian Keith the boy? Who's the boy? Oh,
No.
Zorro. I bet Zorro David is the boy.
Probably. Yeah, he doesn't talk. You just see him naked riding on a
alright.
horse.
Oh, naked riding a horse. Wow.
Yes.
Is it her horse he's riding?
Mm-mm. No, but I will say that Marlon is really sensitive in this movie, and not gay sensitive. He's just really
Sensitive.
conflicted.
He's just sensitive.
Well, he's conflicted, and Marlon Brando played those characters so well, and she is a dynamo. This was either the same year or right after whatever happened. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? So she was feeling everything. Could be about the same
So,
time.
comments. Sorry, we have to go to comments for a minute. We got a lot here.
Ask
says,
him which book.
Lex says the only books I have in New Orleans are my Gambit. Oh, girl, I hear you. Yes, Gambit all the way. Timo says still in the middle of a book Dan recommended. Which book?
Which one? There's so many, honey.
Yeah.
There's so many.
While we're waiting on that, we got to talk about True Blood, Bon Ton.
Sure.
We got to talk about Bon Ton. So not only like the show, but also the books, right? So I mean,
I have a real problem with the books. I tried to read the books. I did not like the books. I thought.
but did you read the books before the show or after?
I started reading them after, and I just thought these read like they're 8th grade. Like they are like from like the
YA. It's YA fiction.
YA, and in a YA way that's not hip YA. Like
I would not disagree with that. But again, read the books after I saw the show. I don't know how I'd feel if I'd read the books before I saw the show, because Alan Ball really brought a queer eye to a queer lens to all of that. And I think it made a big difference in how it translated on screen.
she was no Anne Rice, honey.
Well, she isn't.
Well, no one is.
Well, no, that is true. And I never met Anne Rice, but I will tell you that Charlene Harris, if she asked me to carry her luggage the rest of her life, I probably would.
I would do
She's one of
anything
the
that one wants me to
loveliest-
do.
She is one of the loveliest people I've ever met. She
I agree.
really, really is. So
I agree. I met her at San Diego at BoucherCon.
BoucherCon, yep.
And like in the 2.5 minute interaction that we had, I felt like I was her best friend. It
Yep.
really, truly was just so magical, just how she can
She's that way
draw
with
you
every
in.
person
Yeah.
she meets.
And to be fair, to be completely fair, the only book I tried to read of hers was the very first book. And people, your first book is your first book, and then you grow.
You grow as a writer. That's right. That's
So-
right.
I have no idea what she was.
Well, I read the first 3, and I don't think they changed that much between the two. But I feel like it's probably a big story that she cut up into pieces. Is sort of
Well, and I to Rick's point, you give something to Alan Ball. I mean, for heaven's sakes, it's going to come out perfection.
Mhm.
He really is that darn talented. He really, really is.
Okay, I'm gonna go to what Lex just said. Girl, Angel Heart is one of my favorites ever.
So I
I
wouldn't.
love that movie so much. It is perfection. that movie.
And was this when Mickey Rourke was still pretty?
Honey, Mickey Rourke was
I mean, was he ever pretty? I mean, it was still in the.
Ooh, was he ever pretty? Oh my stars! If you look at his early movies,
What are
he
you
could have anything he wanted. Anything he wanted. Now I'd be like, bitch, carry my bag.
No. Here's the thing, and like Lisa Bonet was like 16 when she met this movie, so it was highly inappropriate, the scenes they had together. But 1987, it is such a good movie.
Well, and then Barfly was right around the same time. And there, after having looked so handsome, and he was still attractive at that time in real life, but he gained enough weight and made himself ugly enough that Barfly, so he did 9.5 weeks with Kim Basinger, and he couldn't have been more sexy. Then he comes out with Barfly with Faye Dunaway, which, you know, has she ever looked pretty? God bless her. But anyway, no, she's always been a hard looker to me.
And let me say this. Well, we could go on. We could get into that, but we're not. So, Robert De Niro, I always think, is an actor that always just plays Robert De Niro.
It's Robert De Niro in every fucking movie.
One channel.
Angel Heart is the most downplayed film I have ever seen him in, where he's not playing Robert De Niro. And
Nice.
the role that he plays, he could get real big in. He could get, I don't want, if people haven't seen it, I don't want to give it away, but he could go really big, but he plays it very subtly.
Well, there's actually another movie he did with Dan, who's the actor that passed away that everybody thinks you look like? What is his name?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Seymour Hoffman.
Yes. So he's in a movie with him.
Oh yes, where he's where Philip Seymour Hoffman is the drag queen nurse and Robert De Niro.
Right. And so in that movie, he's not playing Robert De Niro to me. He is playing he's a little different from that. But yeah, I agree. And every other thing I've ever seen him in, it has been 1000% just Robert De Niro in that role. Like Al Pacino at this point. Everything you see Al Pacino in, it's Al Pacino. Tom Hanks. Every role you see Tom Hanks in, it's Tom Hanks.
Cary Grant was only one role. He was Cary Grant. You know, I think truthfully, someone like Meryl Streep is an anomaly. They can play so many different things where I think a lot of actors, what we like about Cary Grant is you knew what you were getting. You expected to like this particular role because early on he had perfected that nice role. You know, Paul Newman was one of those ways. I thought Paul Newman was a magnificent actor. And as he aged, I thought he got better because he got different. He got edgier as he aged.
I mean, I think that goes, you're right, Dan. I think that goes back for so many actors. I mean, it's like Bette Davis. She's an amazing actress. But girls, you are never taken out of the fact that she's Bette Davis.
No. I mean, she on a rare occasion, she could be funny about something, but she was always hardcore Bette Davis. So, and of course, that's why I liked her better than Joan Crawford, even though as I've grown older, I've learned to appreciate Miss Crawford a lot more than I did when I was little. When I was little, this was Team Crawford. I was 100% Bette Davis.
That's because you've become more and more like her.
Well, shh. Hey, Christina, don't make me come upstairs with a wire hanger. You know what I'm saying to you?
All right, we have to talk about one movie that.
If you don't go there.
Oh, we already honorable mentioned it. It's fine.
Okay.
And George did the other one that he said that we couldn't talk about.
He
which
did
was
say
Gone with the
that
Wind.
too.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But no, this is the one that if you remember Philip and Patrick from
Stokes County Boys.
We did a crossover episode with them. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes.
Is another really good one that really surprised me, and I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I liked it, or loved it, actually.
Did you only watch it because we did that episode?
I only watched it because of that episode.
Oh, wow.
And I had no desire to watch it. I was like, I still feel like this is going to speak to me, and boy, was I wrong. And wow. So.
And what's the actress? Holly Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
She was so magnificent in that. I like Holly Hunter a lot, but I thought she was so magnificent in that. And that flood scene, you know, that's based on an actual thing that happened. Yes. They actually blew up a dam and flooded an area that killed a lot of people. And so that, while in the movie it looked like a fantasy, that was a real life thing.
Sure. And I think, so George Clooney, we're talking about actors. I think he's a really good actor. Like I
do too.
Cary Grant, you always know it's George Clooney, but he like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He's not afraid to get dirty. He's not afraid to not be pretty. I mean, he's never gonna not be pretty because he's George Clooney. But you know, it doesn't have to be glamour. It doesn't have to be black tie. Like
no,
I love
Well, that's the thing about George Clooney. And I was watching recently an interview with Noah Wiley, and he was talking about George Clooney, and he was talking about how George he always goes for his own jugular before he goes for anybody else's. All of his humor is self-effacing. He's always making fun of himself first, and he just is so not that sort of arrogant, pretentious person or whatever. He's like, no, I'm just a guy, and he's just really down to earth, and I think that comes across in all the characters that he plays. I feel like he becomes your next door buddy, right? You're somebody that you could actually have a conversation with and enjoy.
And what I love is in real life, he is seriously a prankster.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a movie with George Clooney, you know you will be pranked before the movie
1000%.
is done. He does crazy, crazy things. And one of his co-stars on several movies has been Brad Pitt. And I find Brad to be very versatile. I mean, honestly,
Me too.
The fact that Brad was born in the same year I'm born in thrills me beyond compare, because only for 9 months every year am I older than Brad Pitt. But that just thrills me.
It's funny,
He
but I
is
met
so
Brad.
gorgeous to me.
I met Brad once, and is back
That's
when
where
I
that
smoked.
first or second restraining order came in.
I think it was the second one. No, it was back when I smoked. He asked me for a cigarette, and he had come out from a recording that was happening, and I was outside smoking with a bunch of other people, not just me. And so he comes out and he's like, "Can I get a cigarette from somebody?" And I'm like, everybody's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got it." He had a cigarette with us, and it was actually really very.
I do have to ask, did you lip it before you gave it to him?
Of course I did. I'm not stupid. Of course I did.
I would sit here and lip mine.
I'm getting texts calling me a dirty whore. Hey, calm down.
I do think that Rick probably pulled a little rank with everybody else standing around getting cigarettes. He's like, look, bitch, y'all want your paychecks? I'm giving him the cigarette.
That's it, man.
Never happened. I would never do such a thing. Oh, I'm going to put this one up on screen. Sorry, I'm going to go back to that De Niro movie that we were talking about.
Flawless.
Flawless. Yes, he remembers it. It was Flawless. Thank you, Lex. Yes, that was it. All right. What else we got?
So I also wrote down Cold Mountain. I had some issues with it, but I did think that it was, it's 1920s Western North Carolina, and it's just 20s or 30s, somewhere along in there. But it's one of those things that it was an odd movie in the fact that, there are things about movies that when they come out, you're like, oh, there's been 8 other movies this year sort of on the same thing. I felt like Cold Mountain came out at a time where Nicole Kidman was very popular, but it was a very unique movie in the fact that it was very different.
Well, they were both very popular. What's her name?
Yeah. Oh, Julianne Moore's in that too, right?
Well, no. Who's the other one?
Renee Zellweger.
Yes.
Renee Zellweger.
The one with the diary.
The
one with the diary. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Renee.
So here's the thing. When you said Cold Mountain, I was like, oh my God, I love that movie. I don't really love that movie. I got confused. Have either of you seen The Beguiled from 2017?
Yes.
I have. It's been a while, but I have as well.
That is a great movie. Nicole Kidman, Colin Farrell. Nicole Kidman runs a finishing school for ladies in the South. It's during the Civil War. Got a few students left. Colin Farrell is the Union soldier that's wounded at their gate. They take him in. He seduces all the women.
He can get all the men on this podcast.
I mean, if you've seen Colin Farrell, of course he does.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all seen that video, right?
We've all.
I didn't see that part. I saw the munch part.
Honey,
girl.
Google that.
As soon as this episode is over, we will talk.
I guess I better what, because I
got you. I got you.
Love me some Colin Farrell.
I got you. Trust. It does not disappoint.
Kirsten Dunst, Elle Fanning, like it's a really good cast.
Yep.
And it's also really beautiful. I mean, in the way that like it's the middle of the Civil War and you live in this falling down Southern Mansion is going to be beautiful by Gaslamp.
Right. Yes.
Everybody has cholera and, shell shock. It's
But
fine.
it's gas lamp, so of course they're going to look beautiful. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That's a good thing. That's why the light is turned a little lower in here. I know what I'm doing.
Is it though?
One of my favorite lines ever from Tennessee Williams and it's Blanche Dubois, of course, in Streetcar. She says, "I will not be seen under that merciless light," referring to overhead light.
I think fluorescents are the worst invention on earth.
I think that needs to be on a T-shirt. Honey. I will not be seen under that merciless light.
Merciless light.
I totally agree, honey. I totally agree. All right, so another lovely Southern movie is The Three Faces of Eve, with Joanne Woodward, who is a Southern girl herself. But she
not to be confused with All About Eve, which is Betty Davis movie.
But that's right. No, The Three Faces of Eve. It was the first time in a movie situation where multiple personalities had been displayed, and Joanne is the person who has multiple personality disorder, and she plays them not always to the best, but it is at least interesting. Yes, sir.
Let's talk about this for a minute. You brought this up, and I think this is a great place to bring it up. Why is it? And maybe I'm just sensitive to it, but I also feel like it's a truth. In literature and in film, if you want to talk about somebody having some kind of mental illness, set the story in the South.
Well, that's because we set our crazy people on the front porch to wave at traffic. I mean, come on.
I mean, everybody's seen that Designing Women episode. Hello.
Right. I mean, that's it. I mean, truthfully, I think George, to your point, I think that in cinema, sometimes in fiction, but mostly in cinema, when we need to point out someone with a physical disability or a handicap, that Hollywood so easily makes it set in the South, because yet once again, the South is still looked on as the less than section of the United States. It's never, ever going to change. And we've done that repeatedly. The Beverly Hillbillies was funny. Green Acres was funny. But you see, none of that was set on a farm in New York.
No.
It's always set in the South because it's easy to make fun of Southerners. The Dukes of Hazzard set in the South. All of these things are set in the South because in this country, we still have a perception of the South as being less than, especially in intelligence. But we read Faulkner, we read Eudora Welty, we celebrate these Tennessee Williams. We celebrate these people, yet we like to make fun of the South, and it is really quite annoying. It's sad.
But to be fair, those writers, a lot of their stock and trade are these fragile characters.
Yes, but I'm sure you got to look and say, well, they've already seen it before. Why not tap in and sell my own shit? I mean, I don't think they did us a favor by perpetuating it. But yet at the same time, and then of course, the best storytellers are Southern, just as we're talking about just a regular, you sit down at a bar next to a Southerner, chances are you're going to get a good story. Not like somebody from New York can't give you a good story. They certainly can. But I think if you sit on a bar stool next to a Southerner, you really are hoping for a good Southern story because we bring the damn story. It's just the way it is.
There is, and I will not remember the name of this documentary series that was on cable a couple years ago. It takes place in Florida, but it opens up, and it's documentary, so it's interviewing a bunch of the people that were involved in it, and it's in Florida, and so there's some gentlemen who are, as Dan likes to say, they have summer teeth. Some are here, some are gone.
Right.
And the guy that opens it is one of those storytellers, and he starts the entire series by saying, in the North, when you tell a story, you say once upon a time. And in the South, when we start telling the story, we say, y'all ain't gonna believe this shit.
That's the truth. Well, and in the South, it's never just hot. It's hot enough to fry an egg on a pavement. I mean, there's a description to it. And that is part of the charm of the South. And that is, I would like to say that's really why all movies that need an atmosphere to tell a story about something other than it's set in the South. I know damn well that's not it. It's just easy to make fun of Southerners, and the labor's cheaper in the South. So what can I tell you?
Yeah, it's New York City or
Yeah.
somewhere in the South.
Yeah, yep. So another cute movie, or not necessarily cute, but we talked about this in the Big Daddy episode, was The Long Hot Summer.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that has both Joanne Woodward and her husband Paul Newman, and it's another Big Daddy. There's a Big Daddy character in it, just like there is in.
Is it Burl Lives?
It's not Burl Ives this time. It's Orson Welles, and he too does not give a good Southern accent. But Orson Welles was bigger than life and fit in most of the screen, so he was a lot of fun.
I mean, I have to say, for me personally, Burl Ives is the epitome of the Big Daddy role. Like he is what every Big Daddy role is cut out from. He is the pattern.
He is indeed. And I turned George on to Desire Under the Elms.
Yes, you did.
And I'm here to tell you, Burl Ives eats every scene up. Every one of them.
I mean, I think it's hard for him to be in a scene and not eat it up. I'm sorry if you have to act against him. Burl Ives, and even like I think even Paul Newman in Cat on Hot Tin Roof, like maybe Elizabeth Taylor because she knew how to play against it.
Yeah, well, and I do think though that you will find actors who are over the top who also want their co-stars to be over the top. I mean, when Bette Davis was asked who was her favorite leading man, it was Claude Rains, which really, really surprised me. But what she said was she was able to give to him things that he could lob back to her, and it worked out with magic. And I think that that's, as much as Bette Davis, we like to make fun of her, she was a tremendous actress, and I think she gave a lot in a scene. It's just not everybody was able to pick up the ball and run with it.
Right. Some of us can catch it, but can you throw it?
Well, right. that is in so many parts of life, baby. So many parts of life. So,
I think at some point though we have to talk about In the Heat of the Night, and
The movie and the series.
I was gonna say I was mostly talking about the series, but I guess we got to start with the movie because that's where it all started, right? But oh, look at that, the comment does work. All right, great. Wait, someone has a comment that they want to add. So we're trying a call-in phase of the show and see how this works. All right, so here we go. And 3, 2.
Hello.
Hi, you're on with Queer Magnolias.
Hello.
Hi, this is Aaron, longtime listener. Rick, you are a dirty, filthy whore.
Oh my God, you're going away.
No, wait, I can add you back.
Really,
No.
This keeps popping up everywhere on the social media.
Talk it.
Fried green tomatoes. Why are y'all not talking about fried green tomatoes?
That is not what you texted me about when you said send me a link.
Oh,
It's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it yet because Dan
okay.
keeps taking up all the time talking about all these old movies.
Secrets.
I was just like, you are going to end without sharing one of the best.
I'm older and I have better insurance. Yes. Indeed.
But yes, and you forgot about all of us. We work in fiction. We tell fiction stories. Old Cove. Listen, available wherever you stream your podcast.
Listen to her. Sell it, baby. Sell it, baby. Sell it. I'll be right back. Sell it. You guys manage this.
All right. So
hell that Old Cove is not some Yankee town. And I love it.
Not thanks to the Deans. The Deans keep it classy.
Exactly.
that is true. And it is, and Southern Queer Network. Let's shout that out as well.
Well, we trying to do more stuff, but it's hard. Money's tight, girl. Money's tight.
Well, now that's always true for all of us, but it is one of those things that one of the reasons, not the only one, but one of the small reasons we started Queer Magnolias podcast is because we wanted to tell stories about, sort of like Charlie's Angels, 3 little queer boys growing up in the South, and we came out to LA, not to the police academy, but we came out to LA. And I think it's important that we tell our truth. or at least what we think is our truth anyway.
So you brought up fried green tomatoes. So let's talk about Fanny Flagg for a minute.
Yes.
Big, huge guest on Match Game, which we all loved. I mean, come on, everyone loves Snatch Game, and that's where it came from. If y'all don't know, but all the entire time, secret lesbian.
Yes, and I mean, and she sat next to Richard Dawson, who stared at her breast all the time, and Jean Rayburn, who talked to her breast.
Honey, I don't think she owned a bra.
No, but you know what though? She was beautiful and she owned her own spirit. She didn't try to fool the public. She just was who she was. She was natural. She was funny. And she is a hell of a writer in real life. I read her book from last year, The Little Boy from Whistle Stop or something like that. So in Fried Green Tomatoes, a little one-armed boy runs next to the train. He gets his entire story in her latest book. And it is endearing, and I totally recommend it to anyone. Fanny Flagg is a great writer.
So thank you for bringing fried green tomatoes up, Aaron. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I think it's time for me to rewatch it because it keeps popping up on my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm like, okay, I get it. I will watch this movie. I need to learn something that I did not know.
Okay, because you just said that, I was going to say God's trying to tell you something, and that made me think of Color Purple. The Color Purple. That is
Yes.
favorite Southern movies of all time ever, and it was filmed in North Carolina. Completely filmed in North Carolina.
Where was the Beloved filmed? North Carolina too, right?
Probably.
I
I
think
think it
so.
was.
Because you know why? Because so many parts of North Carolina look like it's 1920 still.
Well, there's that. And before the Republican legislature and governors completely reversed all the film credits, lots of films were shot in North Carolina. None are shot in North Carolina now because they won't give any film credits.
Well, they might now since we've got John Voight and that anti-Semitic what's his name, Braveheart, that's on the new film commission for
Mel
He Who
Gibson.
Shall Not Be Named.
Shit.
So,
Well, another good Southern movie,
I need
Birdcage.
another drink, and I just made one. Go ahead.
Oh, Birdcage. Yes, that's a
It's
good
in
one.
Florida.
I get it. It's below the Mason-Dixon line. It's Florida, but is it Southern?
Well, I will
Well,
say
they cry.
The characters are
crazy.
Southern, so yes.
they're crazy, Aaron said. Yeah, whatever, Aaron.
Southern accent. Well, except for I guess the daughters, the girlfriend's family.
Yeah, I will say though, honestly, seeing Gene Hackman in drag was worth the price.
It was worth the price of admission. Yes,
only because
1000%.
Only because I don't think anybody would have ever pictured, even in their wildest dreams, Gene Hackman in a dress, and it was hysterical to me. It was just hysterical. Diane Wiest is amazing in that movie.
I don't know. We could all picture Callista Flockhart with a full face of makeup either, but there she was.
Well, see, and with some Greek stoneware. So hey,
Right? And what was the guy that played her husband? We talked about him a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, Lord, yes.
I have a story, y'all, about that movie, and I cannot believe I've never told this on this podcast.
A virgin story.
Just remembered this.
wow! I never imagined a virgin
Me either.
thing coming from you.
Girl, strap in, bitches. So,
Strap on, bitches. Strap on.
my very first job when I moved to Los Angeles was at this place called Color Me Mine, where you would go in and we'd paint your own ceramics. It was,
Yep.
to me, it was very hokey because, like, back home in the South, every little grandma and auntie has a ceramic studio. They all do it. It's this thing Southern women do. But here, you come to LA, it's a brand new concept. People are like, oh my God, let me give you $25 an hour to do this. So there was this guy that would come in and he was painting these plates. He was painting these Greek plates that were super homoerotic. And they were plates that were used in that movie. They were the prop plates for.
I love it. I love it.
The Birdcage.
Yes, they were the ones.
Oh wow, that's so
That's
cute.
awesome.
And I tell you, Hank Azaria was so adorable in that pair of Daisy Dukes. I'm here to tell you,
I
Ooh,
don't
I saw Hank in a different light, baby, right?
Come on, Gloria.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I
So
think
if
we are
we're gonna talk,
almost at time,
if we're gonna
y'all.
talk about Birdcage, are we supposed to talk about Miami Vice since it was set in Miami? Is that a Southern?
No.
Okay, just
But go
check.
ahead. You can have a second.
No, I don't really have anything to say. I do want to shout out two other friends of mine who have books that are set in the South, and this is one of them is called Red Clay Susie, and it's by Jeffrey Dell Lofton. Red Clay Susie is Jeffrey's number one of 3 parts of an autobiography. He is a gay man, but he was a little gay boy growing up in Georgia, in the red clay section of Georgia, and he had an uncle that used to call him Susie, as hateful uncles do. They'll give you a girl's name or whatever. And it's an honest, loving telling of his younger life. So I think maybe he's up to 10 or 11 in this first book, but it's very heartfelt and very straightforward and very serious. The other is The Cicada Tree by Robert Gwatney Jr. It's a little bit of magic, a little bit of fantasy, a lot of reality, a lot of some wonderful things, some not so wonderful things, and just difference in money levels in the South. And it was really, really good. So
I will shout one out as well. That we have the podcast that we do where we talk to authors and they come to us through various means. But this was a book that I picked up, and you know the story, Dan. But this is a book I picked up in Palm Springs in a bookstore. And as I was walking around the store, I did a lap. I did 2 laps, and then I was like, this book just keeps talking to me. And so I picked it up and I bought it, and I was like, fine, I'm gonna go home. I read it. And I could not put it down. It was so fucking good. And so then I was like, I'm going to find this guy and I'm going to reach out to him and I want to talk to him. And it didn't come to me through my normal channels. And we ended up talking, and I've had him on the show a couple times now. And his name is Clay McLeod Chapman. And he lives in, right now he lives in Brooklyn, New York, but he's from Virginia, like from just outside of Richmond, Virginia. He went to the North Carolina School of the Arts. And he's like the stories that he tells are from our neighborhoods, our hometown. And so I've read a few of his books now, and every time I'm reading them, we're always in, like, I've been there. I know where this place is. I know where that store is. It's really surreal in a way to be able to sort of read that in a book that you picked up in Southern California about a place that you grew up in.
Well,
So
I've
love
got
that
one,
about him.
I've got one called A Little Bit Country. It's super cute.
It's so
Oh, that's
cute.
the Donnie and
Brian
Marie
is so
show.
funny.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's like set kind of at a Dollywood type place. I can't remember the guy's name who wrote it.
Brian Kennedy or something.
Yes,
Oh, I
yes.
was
I
going to say
kept thinking,
Donny Osmond. But,
No,
all right.
no, that would have been Marie. She was a little bit country, but go on,
but
Aaron.
when
That's a
I
cute story.
first read that, I sped right through it. It was so cute. It really just, I read a lot of like murder or kind of dark stuff because I love that. But I was like, I need something cute and kind of just cozy. And that's just, it was like all it made you, these two fall in love at a theme park like that's Dollywood theme. I'm just like, that's like magic. So
Yes, it is. And
All right.
I got his name wrong. I'm gonna tell you what it is in just a minute.
I know it's Brian
Well,
something.
you got
No,
1 minute and 10
Oh, it
seconds
is
because I'm
Brian.
killing
I
it
got
before we hit 1 hour.
Gosh, it was Brian Kennedy, so I was right.
All right.
So see, Rick, you
All
made
right.
me think I wasn't right, but okay.
All right,
Can
we got
talk
1
next
minute.
hour?
We got 1 minute to go. We love
right.
y'all. We'll see y'all next season. Details to come. Don't know when that's going to be, but love and kisses. Talk to y'all soon. Bye. Bye,
Bye, y'all.
everybody.